crazy, but I didn't know you would.
How did it run after that, Cat?
It helped it. It didn't spin as much coming off the turn.
Welcome to another high-octane episode of Southern Dirt Motorsports.
Good evening, everybody. This is Jeff Walker with another episode of the Southern Dirt Motorsports podcast. And again, we're without Steve Winstead, so we're going to call this the Outlaw Edition. Run what you brung. What do you think?
That works.
Sounds good to you?
Open competition.
First of all, I want to thank Monty Miller and Trea Miller. They're our guests this evening, actually. We're doing this at night. We're doing it in Monty and Trea's shop. Thanks to them for allowing us to do that. And first of all, I guess, Monty, we need to start out with your dad, Junior Miller.
Yeah.
You know, they've done previous videos where they have filmed the old 202 race car. So it's gotten pretty famous, actually.
Cool. And
he was the builder, crew chief, the brains behind the whole operation.
Yeah.
How many people besides Raymond Stiles actually drove that car? Was he the only one that
Raymond's the only one that drove the coupe.
The 202.
Yeah. And we had a 202 sedan that Quitman Hennessy drove, and we crashed it over at Motorsports Speedway, turned it over, and Daddy took that sedan and cut the back end off of it, took the front end of it, and Raymond found this coupe that had been rolled over, and the front end was mashed on it, so they cut that thing in quarters and put it together, welded it with coat hangers and a torch, and that's how that car was built.
Wow. You know,
down at Spring Street Motors, right?
Yeah, in the back of Spring Street Motors.
Okay.
Yeah.
so it was
Raymond's
just kind
car
of
lot.
a joint effort right there.
Yeah.
Did Raymond actually own the car, or your dad own the car? Is this
It
a
was-
joint thing?
Yeah, it was joint, I guess, because Daddy had the motor and the car that got killed, and Raymond come up with the coupe and a place to work on.
So they raced at the Motorsports Speedway, of course.
Oh yeah.
And do you remember anything about going there when you were a kid?
I remember me and Scott Cantrell and Brent and some more kids playing King of the Hill out there next to the entrance and shoving each other down the hill and wrestling. And as far as the races, we was too busy playing.
Yeah. How old do you think you were about that time?
I'm going to say 6 to 8 year old.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. I've heard a lot of stories about you. Junior, he was a great mechanical mind.
Yeah.
And always trying to figure out what made things work and go faster, and always coming up with some ideas and all these things and building all this stuff. And I heard that at even a young age, I've heard a story about you taking a sewing machine apart to see what made it run. Is there anything true about that?
I don't remember a sewing machine, but I took Mama's kitchen table apart and took all the screws out of it, and didn't get them all back in. So I think we might have had a wreck or two in the kitchen.
And what about that motorcycle you took apart and had spare parts?
Oh yeah, that was. I had a motorcycle when Raymond first started bringing motorcycles into town. He brought a 50cc Suzuki over and left it for me to learn how to ride on and all that. I don't know why, but I took the clutch cover off of it one day, took the clutch cover, everything I could get off with that cover off. And then I couldn't put it all back together, And but Daddy, he wouldn't help me.
Yeah.
And he said, figure out where it goes, put it back together. So I couldn't figure out where it went, so I just laid the parts in the bottom and put the side cover back on. And told Daddy I had it together. He went over there and it wouldn't work. He said, well, take it apart and let me see what's wrong with it. So I took it apart and all these parts fell out. He said, well, where'd them come from? I'm like, I don't know. I couldn't figure out where they went.
Where they went back to. Yeah.
Yeah.
Most of all this evening, we're going to have some fun.
Yeah.
You know, Raymond, his brother, was it his brother that was Cat Styles?
No, it was his cousin.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah.
I know they've interviewed Cat before on the show and stuff. And, Raymond, he was also an accomplished race car driver, but he was a real good motorcycle rider also, wasn't he?
Yes, he could ride a motorcycle backwards or a bicycle or
That,
uphill.
that big hill at the strip pits for his 50th birthday, he rode up it on a motorcycle backwards. Yeah, he sat backwards and rode it
On his
up the hill.
50th birthday, yeah. And it was a big accomplishment for anybody to ride up the way
Just
you're
to get to
supposed
the top of it,
Yeah. So how long do you think Junior raced? I mean, him and Raymond together, how many years do you think they raced?
I don't have any idea. I mean, that till we killed that car. You know, Raymond was a lifetime friend. You know, I mean,
Right. Yeah. So he spent most of the time driving for him. He didn't have anybody else or anything
Yeah,
until you
Raymond.
came along later on.
yeah, Raymond's the only one that drove. I mean, that's it.
Yeah. So your dad, he just maintained the car and kept everything running like it's supposed to.
Yeah.
Raymond wasn't that great of a mechanical mind. He was mostly the driver.
He was
Right.
a wheel man.
Right. Absolutely. And Raymond, he used to work for Mr. Hill here in town, right? Later on.
Yeah.
Yeah. You guys used to help them also race. Bill Hill,
Yeah, we helped Bill and
Billy.
Billy. Yeah,
So,
that's how I got into it. I'm like, those are real race cars now.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and they kept getting better, so it got me interested.
That's when they first came out with tube chassis, wasn't it?
Yeah, because everything looked like a car. The frames looked like a car.
And old man Hill went somewhere and bought a tube chassis car, didn't he?
Drea and
But you actually started racing yourself, like motocross racing, right? Is that where you actually started?
Yeah. Motocross.
Did you work at the motorcycle shop?
Oh, not when I started racing. Well, I did when Raymond sold motorcycles. This is all Raymond's fault.
Okay. That's
Raymond
nothing to do with Junior. It's all Raymond.
It's all Raymond's fault. Yeah. Raymond sold motorcycles out of Spring Street Motors, and we'd go to Chattanooga and pick them up. He had a dealer down there, and he'd bring them back and sell them. And so the back of Spring Street Motors turned into a repair shop. And I want to say Willard Dort was the head mechanic, and I helped him. And I spent the summers there for several years when I was a kid,
Right.
turning wrenches on motorcycles.
But then you started racing motorcycles.
Yeah.
What age were you then when you started racing the motorcycles?
Oh, I was probably 15, maybe 16, somewhere around in there.
Yeah.
And
Isn't that how you got the 17 number?
I did pick the 17 number. Yeah, that's yeah. I guess that's probably it.
Yeah, you're 17 when you started, I think.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah,
reason how we got 17 numbers.
because we were trying to pick out. We were down Spring Street Motors, and we were trying to pick out numbers. And somebody said, "Well, how old are you?" And I said, 17. They said, "There's your number."
Well, wasn't it actually the 202? Wasn't that actually the Junior Street address?
That was Mom and Daddy's address. Their
Here
street
in
number.
town. Yeah. 202.
202 down Old Street.
Yeah. Before we get carried too far away, Trea, your son, he also owned Rusty, your wife's dad.
Yeah.
It was Asbury, Buchanan. And so you didn't have a chance, did you, Trea?
No, I had it on both sides. So
Yeah.
that's all we've ever done.
And you were telling me that between him and his brother Tom Buchanan, that they actually built the Smoky Mountain Speedway.
Yeah, they built Smoky Mountain. I guess that would have been back in the 60s sometime. And then they ran it for a couple of years and sold it. And I don't know how many times it's changed hands since then. But
I remember when I was a kid going to Smoky Mountain Speedway when my dad used to help a guy with a car that they raced in Nashville. And I remember going to Smoky Mountain Speedway and Lester Fowler was involved with that deal. And I can't remember, maybe Jack Smith and different ones. But it was asphalt. And they raced a bunch of the old bush races, I think. Some old bush races and stuff like that when it was asphalt up there. So I remember being up there one time for a 300-lap race toward the end of the season and seeing Donnie Allison. They had a small airplane, and they landed it over there on the back straightaway, you know. But now, the last time I was up there, was houses back there and stuff. But they had like a little landing strip, and you know, Bobby and Donnie Allison and them guys, they would fly around to these short tracks and race, you know, with them guys. Even though they were racing NASCAR, the Winston Cup deal at the time, but they would still show up at these racetracks for appearance things and stuff.
Yeah, Lance Asbury raced with a bunch of them old guys.
Oh, he did.
Yeah.
So he actually raced himself too.
Yeah. He had an old Fairlane, and we've got pictures of him racing at Bristol. You know, and Smoky Mountain, and he owned the Smoky Mountain pace car, that '64 Impala they used for years. That was Asbury's car. But he ran at 76, number 76 Fairlane for several years.
Yep. Okay. But with him also driving, and he's a cousin now, you said, to Zeke?
Yeah, to Zeke Buchanan. Yeah,
he was?
Buchanan.
Okay.
Okay.
Turn it up. Just
going off.
Yeah, that's to take my medicine.
Okay.
Oh, Zeke was Asbury's cousin, so I mean
He's your grandpa's cousin.
we'd be several cousins removed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll get back on that. Zeke Buchanan then was Asbury's cousin.
Yep.
And Zeke Buchanan, he became famous at Atomic. He used to race at Atomic.
He's in the Hall of Fame at Atomic.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
pretty amazing. You know, to be in the Hall of Fame at Atomic,
Yeah.
because at that time,
Yeah.
Atomic was the big deal.
That was the deal.
Yeah, there ain't no telling how many races Zeke's won, you know?
Yeah.
300-400 races probably.
I remember when I first started going up there, I remember Zeke Buchanan.
Mm-hmm.
And then he started Rat's Glass.
Yeah, Rat Glass, I think, was his.
Yeah. And they used to be all the bodies now on these late model cars. And by the way, that's Trea's new XL
Excel, yeah.
late model car that's right behind us here. But back then, and the bodies on these cars are aluminum.
Mm-hmm.
And you break them, you cut them out of a 4x10 sheet of aluminum, and you break them up and make a body like this. And then, of course, you got talented people that put the wrap on them and everything, make them look great.
Yeah,
But back then, they used to, the bodies used to be fiberglass.
Mm-hmm.
And like I say, Rat's Glass, he did a lot of that, you know. As they transitioned over to like the 55 Chevrolets and stuff from the coupes and sedans like that Junior had. And when they started transitioning to the 55 Chevrolets and the Chevelles and stuff like that, that was just the next transition. It was getting harder, like it would be now, to get a body. Mm-hmm. So they just had to they made the body. And people like Zeke that started that business, the body business actually, and made the noses for the cars and everything out of plastic and stuff. It's pretty neat.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. So he made the molds and did all that kind of stuff, and that was a pretty innovative guy to be doing something like that. Mm-hmm. So we'll go back now to, since we know that you didn't have a shot, like you say, and that's just kind of put in this position, but we'll get back to Monty's motocross. I know you took something that in the motorcycles where you used to have a local place here called Pine Hill, right? Mm-hmm. You won a bunch of races there.
Right.
And I remember you going to Florida and racing motorcycles. And
yeah, we used to go to Florida and every winter and run what they called the Winter Nationals. And it was like 6 weeks of every weekend racing. Wow. You know, Jacksonville, Gainesville,
Cocoa Beach.
Yeah, Cocoa Beach. I mean, it was just all over Florida, you know, traveling series racing every weekend, somewhere different. But that was a lot of fun.
You had to be in great shape.
Oh, yeah, we were young.
Yeah.
They wore real leather back then. It was nothing nylon. I mean, it was leather, you know, in Florida in the summer.
Oh, wow. Yeah. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, they after they dried, they would just stand up.
How many years did you do that?
Probably altogether maybe 5-6 years. I retired from that early. I think I might have been maybe 21, 22 when I quit.
On top of being a young man's sport, it's also very dangerous, right?
Yeah, it's too dangerous now. I'm glad Trey quit.
Yeah.
You
You're fortunate you never did get back.
No, it I broke a few bones, collarbones.
Almost
arms.
drowned one time.
Yeah, I like to drown one time.
Really?
Down in Florida, I crashed into a what looked like a pond,
Yeah.
but it was deep.
More like the ocean.
All I know is I was completely underwater and couldn't touch nothing.
Yeah.
It's,
So then you started helping after you quit the motorcycles and stuff, put them away and stuff. You started helping Bill Hill, or
Yeah.
was there any time in between there that? And also with Junior, he was also still involved at that time, right?
yeah.
Had he kind of been out of it, the car racing
Oh,
while
yeah,
you were
yeah.
motorcycle racing?
Yeah,
right?
yeah. While I was out motorcycle racing, he was hunting and being a
Yeah.
country boy.
I had the pleasure of working at the dealership with Junior, and he was a character.
Yeah.
And super good guy. And he would do anything in the world for you and stuff. And it was amazing though. He thought everything through, and he really did. He was very smart. He was way ahead of his time, I think.
Never got dirty either.
No.
Yeah, wear a white button-up shirt to work.
Yeah.
Work on cars all day long.
He would
get
get all
dirty.
dressed up to go to work. Yeah. Yeah, he was a character.
Man.
He really
Yeah.
was.
I didn't learn that from him.
But yeah.
I
Go
can
ahead.
walk by one and get dirty.
Yeah.
I mean, it just
But he started helping Bill, right, with Billy Hill.
right.
He was racing at the time, and also he had a brother named Tim.
Yeah.
And he raced also. Mr. Hill, he was a very he loved racing, and he was willing to do whatever it took to get a good race car. And at the time, I guess Macmillan Speedway was open, or were y'all going to Winchester, or where were you going?
We were going. I remember going to Atomic, and I don't remember. We raced at Macmillan Speedway a few times, but most of the time we went to Atomic because
Okay.
Old Man Hill wanted to go to Atomic, and
Yeah.
he wanted to go up there and race.
It's a place to be, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's where it's happening.
And I was trying to think, Bill Coral. He was kind of like friends with Bill Coral and
Right.
guys that raced up there.
Right.
And the competition, that's where the competition was.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
It was a very fast, banked up 1/3 mile.
Yeah.
Something like that. Dirt track that was kind of famous in all these parts. And had competition coming up out of Georgia and stuff. Those guys that come up out of Georgia seemed like they were a little bit ahead of these other guys and stuff. And it was always a good race when you went to Atomic.
Oh, yeah.
And,
Yeah, did you ever race there?
just a couple of times. I never was really good there.
I raced there once. I went up there. They had a double feature one night, and I went up there, and I ran fourth in the first one and fifth in the second one. And but the track was so fast and so high banked that it was just you couldn't see anything but the tail end of the car in front of you. You just got in line. It was like pulling a chain around through there.
Yeah.
I mean, there's 20 cars out there, and we're just
Yeah.
If you pull out a line past, you better get back in.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
What did they pay you for them double features?
Oh, it wasn't nothing. It was, I think, for fourth, I might have got $100 for fourth and got $75 for fifth. But yeah, I left there with $175 after running 80 laps.
Yeah.
You know?
What year was it when you started racing cars? I remember Donnie
Donnie Jones,
had a
yeah.
car. It was a Barry Wright car,
Yeah.
right? And then did he come up with the engine, or you come up with it?
I come up with the engine. I don't. I want to say that was around. When do you think it was? 80 or 81?
I would say so, probably early 80s. 80s or something.
Yeah.
But you started right out of the late model cars. You didn't.
Yeah, I never drove a car that I got in John Tony's car.
Yeah.
I don't mean, well,
And that was at the new Sparta Speedway. That's where, where you started, actually?
That's where I killed that car at. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think I went out here at McMillan and hot lapped a few times.
Yeah. Before you ever started. Before you ran.
Yeah, before I went up there.
Yeah.
But
How long do you think it was? How many years before you started winning, or did you start winning right off the bat?
No, I won the first year we raced. I won a feature
At Winchester, or
I think it was at McMillan.
at McMillan?
Yeah,
Okay.
I believe it was out here. I think whoever was leading broke, and I was fortunate enough to be running second.
Take me away with you.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't deserve it, but I got it.
That's right. And then you raced a long time there yourself.
Yeah, we raced about 15 years, or I did. And then he came along, and so we parked the race car and went and got him a motorcycle, and we spent the next 15 years doing that.
How many years you think you raced at Winchester Speedway? I know you put in a lot of time there too.
Yeah, I probably raced close to Winchester, or raced Winchester for at least 10 years.
Yeah.
I think, like I said, about 15 years altogether.
Because
I spent a lot of time over at Duck.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
At Winchester, I think, dropped our class or did something and had a rule change, and so we moved on to the Duck and raced over there.
It was always nice though to go. What was it, like 40 miles from the house?
Yeah.
And race.
Yeah.
And I miss Winchester.
Yeah.
I got to run it 1 year.
You did.
I got to run it 1 year. And, we complained about it the whole time.
Yeah.
And now that it's gone, we miss it. I regret complaining about it.
Yeah. I remember it used to be so slick.
Mm-hmm.
You couldn't hardly touch it. And you had Raymond cars at that time, right?
Yep.
And it was, I can remember Pepper telling me a bit of advice. He said, nobody will pass you getting in the corner on the outside, which now with the setups, they would do that.
Right.
But then you almost had to stop and get going. It was almost like drag racing.
Right.
That way.
It was 2 drag strips.
Yeah. And you had to keep the car nice and straight and hooked up, and he was right, because I've seen a lot of times in hot laps and different times when you let off the gas way back, to get in the corner like you needed to, and somebody come by you on the outside and go right off the corner, right off the end. So it was a trick to get around it and stuff at that time, wasn't it?
It was the slickest track I believe I ever raced on.
Yeah.
It
Turned one over there.
Yeah, I took one off turn 1, turned it over 3 times, and
Yeah. But you learned to race there too.
Oh yeah.
When you raced with like Pepper, you learned to race because you had to step your game up just a bit.
Yeah. Pepper was best local driver, I believe. I know the best one around.
Right.
I mean, you don't win however many 100 races he's won with
Yeah.
not being the best.
And he was kind of a kingpin at Winchester too. And I mean, it was hard to beat him there. I know you ran second a whole lot of times.
Yeah. Yeah, I got accustomed to second. When I got to where I could beat him, I didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
Is he getting older?
Yeah.
Something wrong with his car?
Yeah.
Or what?
No, I was talking to somebody the other day, and they said they go to Winchester just to watch you and Pepper fight.
That only happened a couple of times.
But they had a rivalry, but they did. But like even now, I know later on you guys have helped Gwen, which is his son that races, and he's got a grandson now. That's he's how old?
Kane is 13 or 14.
13.
Yeah, 13 or 14, right there.
He's amazing.
Oh, he's a wheel man.
He really
Pepper
is.
Jr.
And so I mean, yeah, right in there with old Pep, right?
Yeah, he can drive. Kid can